Hello everyone, this is Colin once again. I'm making this video because I think that I need to clear up some things that I alluded to not in my previous video, because I think the content of that video was pretty straightforward, but the video right before that, which I entitled Islam, A New Introduction. If you haven't seen that video, go ahead and check that out. But I, it was interesting. I didn't really say anything very direct. I mean, I was very direct about where I was coming from as far as when discussing Islam. And I think this really works, and I said this goes for any religion or any ideology or philosophy or what have you, is that you need to be aware of where the people in the discussion, where they're coming from, whether it's where I'm coming from, where all of you are coming from, and any sort of dialogue that needs to be kept in check and needs to be kept in mind. Um, and I felt that I made that very clear. Now, perhaps those things that I said in the video and that caused people to kind of wonder where exactly I was coming from, if there were any new points of view that I have recently stumbled across and or have adopted. And I think that it was probably because I mentioned this comparative religion class that I'm actually taking at my college, and I mentioned that. I mentioned that it had kind of impacted me in a lot of ways, and I was going to be doing videos or blogs about it. I think some people interpreted that in ways that, because I didn't really go into detail about that, I think a lot of people were sort of wondering what I meant by that. And so this video is sort of the beginning of this explanation about where I'm coming from. And I have to say, this is probably going to be the most personally honest video that I've ever made. I'm not saying that I've been full of crap in the in the past videos. This isn't a video where I'm refuting anybody. This isn't a video where I am trying to prove a point to people. This is a video about me and where I'm coming from right now with regards to religion and studying religion in my personal point of view. Will this video shock people? Probably. Will this video piss people off? I'm sure some people will be angry. The thing is that I have to be very clear, because there was a lot of things right off the bat that people suddenly freaked out when I made this other video I'm referring to, where people thought that I had apostated, that I was no longer a Muslim, that I was ceasing to be a member of the religion of Islam, and that was some of my subscribers were kind of like, wait a minute, what is he saying? My Muslim subscribers said that, and then I had apparently Christians, and you can notice this on the main part of my channel, and if you're watching this, if you just scroll down to the main comments on my main page here, you can see where I posted to these unnamed Christians, I don't know who they are, who apparently started sending private messages to my subscribers saying that I was leaving Islam. I never said anything like that, and I am still a Muslim. I still consider myself a Muslim. And I have not left Islam, and I certainly have not returned to Christianity, and so please don't put words in my mouth. But I felt like I needed to make this video so that everyone can be on the same page where I am. And if you don't care where I am right now, then you just shut off the video. Because I'm going to be so honest about this, I don't expect everybody to like this video. I expect I'll probably lose some subscribers over this. I'm sure I will shock the living hell out of people. And because I'm being honest, I'm not going to censor myself, so I may use profanity, or not intentionally, it just may come out. So I apologize for that if I offend anybody by anything I say in this video. But again, it's really honest. Where am I right now? So let's begin. Even though I've been studying comparative religion since I was a sophomore in high school, and I'm 21 now, so it's been a while. I've been doing this for quite some time. It's all been independent study. I mean, I as many of you who know me, I studied with a rabbi and for a period of time, and I was in constant contact with a Methodist pastor, and asked a lot of questions, and sought out people who were knowledgeable in certain fields to educate me. But the majority of my comparative religious theological education was due to my own independent education on my own. I read a whole bunch of books on any given religion, and really it was due to the fact that when I was a sophomore in high school, I began doubting the authenticity of Christianity. I had theological doubts, and I wanted to know what the deal was with other religions. And so I started off just sort of going through from sophomore to senior year studying things, and that's when I decided to convert to Islam, because Islam answered my theological questions. Um, and then, as you all know, and this is very evident because the majority of my videos on this channel are from when I was either a senior in high school at the time and then post my graduation all the way up to this point. And I have, I am known as Aussie CDA. I am, and I say this with no ego. People perceive me as being the Muslim apologist who defends Islam against critics and criticizes Christianity. That's me in a nutshell. And I study psychology. That's my major. And so as a science, as psychology is, I'm required to not only analyze others, but analyze myself. And increasingly, I was realizing that I had set up this persona, to use Jungian psychological terminology. Persona meaning mask in Greek. I'd set up this persona of Aussie CDA, where I am the Muslim apologist. And I'm not the only one. I'm not the only defender of Islam against critics here on YouTube. That's not what I'm saying. But that was the big thing, was, I was this very knowledgeable person according to people, and what may be apparent. I'm not sure. But I'm no scholar. I've never claimed to be. I've always said consistently I am a student, but there are, with the rising issues that people have with Islam, I felt that it was, as a Muslim, I felt like I had this information, I had learned all these things, I was going to use that to defend Islam, which I feel that I have consistently done. And having said that, I felt like I knew what I needed to know about religion, and especially comparative religion. And so I decided, since this is going to be my last semester at my college before I transfer to a 4-year university, I thought, what the heck, I'll take comparative religion. It's the first time I've ever taken an academic level comparative religion class. And I went into it with this arrogance. I went into it thinking to myself, I'm going to just own this class. I treated it like it was going to be a YouTube video. I thought, yeah, I'm Aussie CDA, quote. I didn't say that to myself, but thinking of how you could perceive me, I'm going to go into this class. I'm just going to wipe the floor with these people, because I know all this. It's going to be a piece of cake, right? I know all this stuff. And first day I go into the class, I'm thinking, okay, we're going to start with Hinduism, because Hinduism is the earliest religion, or excuse me, it's the oldest surviving practice religion, if you don't count neo-pagans. But anyway. And it's the oldest scripture that we have for the living, breathing world religions. And so I went in there thinking that's what we were going to start with. No problem. I'd read books on Hinduism. I'd read, scripture, translations of the Bhagavad Gita and other things. And I go in there, and the professor surprises me by basically saying to all of us that we're going to start with Mesopotamian mythology. And I just went, what? And I had read the Epic of Gilgamesh. I was familiar with mythology, but see, I had that sort of, American Western attitude towards mythology, which is we never consider, when you're growing up, you never consider mythology to ever be associated with a religion, an actual religion. You go into mythology thinking, those are just those stories that people back in the day used to tell. And and Homer is just is an author of 2 epic poems, the Odyssey and the Iliad. I mean, you really don't consider these things to have been beliefs of people as people believe in Allah, Jehovah, Jesus, Buddha, etc. You don't equate. At least I did. I wasn't raised that way. And in my community here in the United States, I that just wasn't. You were taught these things as stories, and then life went on. And so I thought we're going to study Mesopotamian mythology as religion, and actually he worded it as Mesopotamian religion. We're going to start with the Mesopotamian religion. That, caught me off guard. So the first thing he does is he pulls out this book, and he doesn't tell us what the book is. And he reads this story, and in a summary, what he reads is this, it's a story where there is this mother who has an infant, and she gives birth to this infant, and she's afraid of persecution, she's afraid of harm that could come to this child, this son of hers. So she puts him in a reed basket and sends him down the river where he's taken out, and and he's saved by the daughter of a very wealthy royal individual who raises him, and then he, goes on to be a prominent. The child grows up to be a prominent figure in the area, and the professor asks us, "Oh, so who do you think this is?" And we all raise our hand, and I swear to you, everybody in the class was like, "Well, no shit, it's Moses." And I'm sure all of you listening to this, or unless you are a comparative mythology major or have studied comparative mythology, I'm sure all of you are like, "Well, it's Moses," right? And that's what we were all thinking. That he said, "You're all wrong." He said it's Sargon of Akkad, who lived 1,000 years before Moses, and I was like, "What?" I was totally blown away. And then he proceeds to tell us that Otto Rank, who was a psychoanalyst, he was a student of Freud's, one of Freud's students, did a whole book called The Birth of the Hero, and shows these consistent themes and motifs that are in all these heroes. Sargon, Moses is in there, Karna, the divine king of India. All these people have had this consistent thing where they are babies put in a basket sent down the river, and then they are adopted into a total different family, and they become prominent rulers, kings, prophets, what have you. And the similarities are so close together. Now, some of them I will admit I have read this book by Otto Rank. Some of them are different. They kind of fall into two different camps. One is the baby in the basket down the river scenario. The other one is the baby's left into the wilderness and is raised by wild animals. So they may have certain differences, but they all share these common motifs. And I couldn't. My reaction was, I don't know how to get around this. I don't know how to, how do I say to myself, okay, that, this is ridiculous. This can't be. And I honestly just couldn't wrap my head around that right off the bat. He then tells us a different story. Now I realize that this video is going to have to be in multiple parts now, so I apologize for that. But I'll try and just, end this and then continue. Then he tells us a story about a guy who's told by a divine entity. And again, this could be different. It's either God, a god, meaning that's a member of a polytheistic tradition, or anyway, divine entity tells tells this man that he needs to build an ark because the world is going to be flooded, or the land's going to be flooded, and he needs to put his righteous family and then animals, pairs of animals, into an ark that he's going to build. There's going to be the flood, and then he's going to, rest on a mountain. The ark's going to rest on a mountain, and then they're going to, repopulate the area. And again, we're all like, it's Noah. Now, see, for me, I had read the Epic of Gilgamesh and other Mesopotamian myths before, and I knew that in Mesopotamian religion they had this Noah figure. And creepy enough, linguistically speaking, their names are, pretty much, identical to. They're rooted together on a linguistic level. It's like if you translate the name from cuneiform into Hebrew, it's Noah. I mean, so it's like the same story, And then I realized that, we all thought it was Noah, and he said, no, this is the character from the Epic of Gilgamesh in Mesopotamian religion. And then he proceeded to tell us that there were flood stories in almost every culture across the world. And usually, even in India, there's this guy, same exact scenario from the story of Noah. And, I could deal with the Noah thing. I could rationalize it to myself from my perspective, but the whole Sargon Moses thing was something that sort of troubled me. And that was what made me realize, well, wait a minute. If the story of Moses isn't quote-unquote original, his infancy rather, what else about the story needs to be examined and seriously looked at? And that's what led me to what I like to call my Exodus research project, which I've been working on for the past couple months, and in the next video I will tell you more about it. So please stay tuned, and like I said, I'm sure many of you, your jaws are just dropped on the table, I'm sure, and I'm sorry if I've offended anybody, but Bear with me. I'm coming.